Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to another pickups video. Had a chance to grab a couple of things while I was out yesterday for work, and today I went grocery shopping and also stopped a few places and grabbed a couple things. So let's see what I got. So yesterday I stopped off at a couple of game stores and I'll show you what I got here. The first one was very close to where I was at for work, and so I stopped by kind of on the way out of town. Picked up a handful of goodies. So I got a couple of Game Boy games. We got RoboCop 2 and also Prehistoric Man, which I think I'd heard the name before, but didn't really know. And actually, this is a European cartridge, not the US release. So, not entirely sure. I'll have to double check and see whether or not this game got a US release. One Game Boy Color cartridge, and that is Croc 2. And got a handful of Game Gear cartridges as well. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm expecting my Game Gears back from repair pretty much any time, so hoping to see those soon. So add a few more games to play. So I got Aladdin, which I know differs somewhat from the Sega Genesis version. I got The Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck, and I already had Deep Duck Trouble. In fact, I've got that one complete in box, but this one I was curious about because I messed around with it a little bit many years ago via emulation, and so glad to actually have that one. Little game called Slider. I'd never seen this one in the wild before, but I remember, again, going back to the idea of emulation, I remember seeing reviews of this game and reading some stuff basically that this game and a game called Squeak or Squeaks, something like that, on the Atari Lynx are essentially the same game. I don't remember whether it's the Game Gear version or the Lynx version that supposedly has more levels. I want to say it's the Lynx version, but it's sort of a tile-based puzzle game, similar to something like The Adventures of Lolo, but a little bit less, complex, maybe. But it always looked fun, colorful, etc. So thought I'd give that a try. And this one I haven't seen in the wild either, and this is Aerial Assault. So now I officially have my first shoot 'em up for the Game Gear. I'd really like to find Fantasy Zone gear, and then also Halley Wars, but for now, cool to have finally a shmup on the Game Gear. So that was my first stop yesterday. My second stop, I picked up a couple of PSP games. So I got the NHRA Drag Racing Countdown to the Championship. I don't recall having seen this one before. I know there are several other drag racing games out for the PS2 and consoles of that era. But anyway, thought I'd grab that one. It was cheap. And same goes for Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. Another puzzle game of some sort. And of course, those always work well in the handheld format. So give that a whirl. Along with that, I grabbed a whole bunch of game manuals. So we'll go through these real quickly. Bunch of 2600 games, and then a handful of random ones here. So I got Star Master, Warlords, We got Yar's Revenge and Yar's Revenge from two different printings of the game. This one, I'm not sure. This one says 1982. This one says 1982. So I'm not sure why the difference, but I thought it was cool that there were two different manuals there. I got Super Breakouts, Circus Atari, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Demons to Diamonds, Bowling, very exciting, Defender, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And of course everybody bags on this game a lot. I don't actually think it's that bad. I remember playing this as a kid and getting quite a bit of enjoyment out of it. So I'm not sure why everybody thinks it's so terrible. I know some of the reasons, but some of them I think are mostly unfounded. It's better than people think it is, and it's certainly not the worst game ever made. Then I also got a couple of Game Gear manuals here. We got Ren and Stimpy, Quest for the Shaven Yak, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Devilish, which I picked up recently, so cool to have the manual for that, and also Legend of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, which I think, I'll have to double check, but I think that's the one I grabbed recently as well. So that's cool. We got a couple of Game Cube manuals. Got Luigi's Mansion, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2. The cool thing about this is I have a spare copy of Rogue Leader that is just the box, a reprint cover, and the game. There's no manual. So now I can add the manual to it and give it a little bit more trade value. Or possibly find a cheap GameCube controller and give it to my nephews to use on their Wii, because I know they will really enjoy that. They dig Star Wars almost as much as I do. And last but not least from the manuals is the Vice City Stories manual for PSP. I've had this game for a while, but it didn't come with a manual. And typically when I buy PSP, it's complete. But when I picked this one up, I must have found it dirt cheap somewhere and picked it up minus the manual. So cool to find that. The one other item that I picked up, oh wait a minute, I guess I've got a couple more manuals in here that I forgot. Ah yes, I got one for Tiny Toon Adventures Bab's Big Break on the Game Boy, which I have, so cool to have that. And also a manual for Pinball Hall of Fame, the Gottlieb Collection for Xbox. I have the PS2 and PSP versions of this game, and I've seen the Xbox versions, or version I should say, and so when I find it next time, if it is sans manual, I'll be able to complete it with this. The only other game I picked up at this location was The Incredible Hulk for Sega Genesis, and this is not going into my collection. It is actually going to a fellow YouTuber, G to the Next Level. He tweeted out here a few days ago that he is 2 or 3 games away from having a complete boxed US set of Genesis games. So I thought I'd help him out. Saw this one in the store. It's in really good shape. Still has the hang tab even. And so it's complete. I thought I'd hook him up. So I'm going to be sending this his way possibly sometime this week. So I hope he enjoys receiving that. You should definitely go follow him on Twitter at G to the Next Level and search for that on YouTube to find his channel. He's got some pretty cool content, and I've watched a couple of his videos here today, and it's great stuff. So that was yesterday. Today I made my usual rounds and hit most of my usual places and picked up a few things. So I hit the pawn shop first and just kind of got a random batch of games. So I grabbed Laser Blast for the Atari 2600. I got Motorstorm Apocalypse for the PS3. And I'm assuming that that is as quality as Motorstorm Arctic Edge is for the PSP. This is Dick Marcinko Rogue Warrior. I'm assuming the game is just called Rogue Warrior, but the name is there in tiny little red text over where it says Rogue Warrior. So, but the spine only says Rogue Warrior. So I'm assuming that Dick Marcinko, yes, play as Dick Marcinko, real-life founder of SEAL Team 6. So there you go. Must be loosely based on real events, or real people at least. Got a 360 Platinum Hits version of Saints Row 2. We'll finally have a working version of that. I got Puzzle Challenge, Crosswords, and More, which those of you who keep up with my pickups videos know that I also got recently for PSP. And so, interesting how many of these games like this were on the PS2, the PSP, and the Wii. And finally, I got the standard version of 007 Nightfire. I've had the Platinum Hits version for a while, but finally bagged an original print run. And unfortunately, this case has a big notch out of the plastic. I wish I would have seen that before I brought it home. I would have changed the case out. Oh well, not the end of the world. So that was the pawn shop. After that, I went over to the Goodwill and picked up some random PlayStation games. So we got Supercross 2000, and we've got Jeremy McGrath, Supercross 98, and then also Moto Racer 2, and I'm sensing a theme here. Someone who must have been a huge fan of motorcycle racing games must have dumped a bunch of these into Goodwill's lap, and I profit from that because now I have fun new games for my collection. I also picked up a couple of other items a bit larger. So first I got a boxed Wii Fit Plus, and in actuality this is just the balance board, and there's a couple of pieces that go along with it. A couple of other plastic pieces that maybe go with it. I'll have to look at the manual. The manual's in there as well, but it does not come with the Wii Fit Plus game, but I'll have to double check. I think I may already have that. If not, I see it at just about every other Goodwill or pawn shop. So this is something that, even minus the game, I'll be able to pick up without any trouble. The other thing I grabbed at that location is Guitar Hero Aerosmith. And again, unfortunately, this is Sam's game. But again, I think I might already have this one. I know I've got it for PS2 and possibly PS3, but I think I might have the Wii version as well. But I did not yet have a Wii Guitar Hero guitar. And since I also have a couple of other of the Wii Guitar Hero games, this is a nice way for me to inexpensively get into getting a guitar. They gave it to me for half price since it didn't include the game, but it is the cool Aerosmith guitar with the nice decal, and since I'm a long-time Aerosmith fan, I thought that would be pretty cool to have that branded guitar to actually play the Guitar Hero games on the Wii. So yeah, the nice thing about the Wii is because it leverages the Wiimote, you don't have to either use a wired guitar controller or hope that you stumble across a guitar in the wild that has the dongle, like the ones for the PS2, because when you find wireless guitars in the wild, almost invariably they do not include the wireless dongle. Now the one that I've got, that I got with my Guitar Hero 3 set, of course that was new, that was a gift, but I've never been able to find a wireless PS2 Guitar Hero guitar peripheral that comes with the wireless adapter. Otherwise, all you see is wired guitars. And so being able to do this wirelessly, because it leverages the Wiimote, will be nice. So that was Goodwill number 1. Pawn Shop number 2 yielded only one worthwhile pickup, and that was the Mass Effect trilogy for the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, because they tape it all up, there's tape here on the top and bottom, front and back. I don't know if I'm going to go to the trouble, for what little I paid for it, to try and steam that off so I can remove the tape without damaging this thing. And realistically, that's just the slipcover. The real set is inside here, and so all the discs are there. I'll have to make that decision at some point, but I've got this set on PS3. That's probably where I'll end up playing it. I've already played through the first game and enjoyed that, so when I play through the rest, I'll probably do it on PS3, but cool to have the set on here either way. And I did not know that you could play Mass Effect 3 with Kinect. I don't yet have a Kinect sensor, but it'd be interesting to see what that functionality entails. So that's Pawn Shop number 2. And finally, Goodwill number 2 yielded a couple of things. So I got a couple of PlayStation 2 games and a couple of Wii games. We got Greatest Hits Fight Night Round 3. And it's not a Greatest Hits case that doesn't have the memory card slot, because the case it came in was all busted up, so I swapped it out for another game. I got Hitman Contracts, which I did not have on PlayStation 2 yet. And then for Wii, I got Michael Jackson The Experience, which apparently has Another Part of Me as an exclusive bonus track, because this is a Walmart specific version. And Call of Duty Black Ops. And I've kind of been looking for this one for a while. Hopefully, epic single player, acclaimed multiplayer, co-op zombies. So the single player campaign is what I'm interested in, because at this point, I'm sure that there's no multiplayer anymore. But as you can see from the back here, you can use the gun peripheral, which is just a plastic shell that you put the Wiimote and the nunchuck into, so that you can hold it up like this and, move your character around with a thumbstick, and then actually point the gun with the Wiimote's IR sensor. I'm not good at first-person shooters, but that, to me, seems like the best way to play a game like that, assuming that you're using a Wiimotion Plus and you can kind of keep up and track with your aim. Also assuming that you'll have a targeting reticle on the screen. So yeah, this is probably, it's not the most pretty version, because obviously the game originally came out on Xbox 360 and PS3, but this could be my preferred way to play it, depending on how difficult it is to aim quickly and decisively with the right thumbstick. So we'll see, but I'll probably mess with this one regardless. And then I also got a cool peripheral. from Intech. This is a 4-way control and memory card adapter for the PlayStation 2. And this is cool because it's specifically meant for the PS2 Slim, because that will sit right on top of this unit. And then there's this cable that unplugs, or that comes out from this little cubby on the bottom where it sits, and then you can snake that out like that, and then that's got your controller and memory card spaces there. That will plug into the front of the console as it sits on this little platform, and then that gives you access to all 4 controller ports and all 4 memory card slots. And so that's a pretty cool little peripheral. I don't know of any specific 4-player PlayStation 2 games that I would want to use this with, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. And of course, these things are, when you find them at Goodwill and what have you, they're just a couple of bucks to pick up. So it's no no great expense to grab stuff like that, but it's a neat peripheral nonetheless. So I decided to go ahead and snag that. So that's all I have for you folks today. What did you guys think? Are there any of the games that you feel like I should maybe try first, or anything that you would suggest that I play? You know, maybe something that is, I don't want to say hidden gem, but certainly something that would maybe fly under my radar a bit. Do you guys collect manuals? And if you do, what are some of your favorite manual pickups that you've grabbed recently? You know, I like to grab manuals to complete games that I find loose, or occasionally I'll buy one that's boxed without the manual if I believe I can source a manual reasonably inexpensively. And so whenever I go to game stores that will sell loose manuals, I like to try and pick them up, especially if it's for games I already have or games I know are on my list that I'm looking for. So anyway, what do you guys think? What of these games do you guys really enjoy, and what would you suggest I play right away? As always, thank you for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.